Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good afternoon to all the viewers. Clearly, if you see in terms of where markets are concerned in today's session, a good day of trade, but there is somewhat of cooling off that has happened as well in the last couple of minutes of trade. We've hit a low of around 18,582 in today's session. That's where we're trading at. And the advanced decline ratio seems to be pretty much equal as of now. Bank Nifty as well is seeing gains of almost 0.5% coming in there, and we are above those 44,100 levels. To discuss more, Jay Bala joins us on the show in terms of what's in store from here on. Jay, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show, Vida.
Always a pleasure, Jay. Firstly, in terms of the global cues, they have remained pretty much positive, and that is something which has been supporting our markets as well in today's session. From here on, what are the key levels that you're tracking? Because sustenance with regards to, even that 18,500 to 18,600 level on closing basis is absolutely crucial.
Spot on here. See, the market's main resistance now is only the all-time high. But if the markets were to go below 18,465 without taking out the all-time high, the markets can get into a bit of trouble. That will be a sign of markets failing to, take out the all-time high and buckle under pressure. The trend change would be confirmed only on a move below 18,202. But although 18,465 itself will signal that the markets are failing near the all-time highs. So watch these couple of levels: 18,465 for the short-term traders and 18,202 for the slightly higher-term traders.
Right. With this, how are you seeing the bank nifty, Jay? Because clearly, last 3 to 4 weeks, we have seen that consolidation that has continued in terms of bank nifty. But where from here on?
Yeah, the bank nifty has clocked a fresh all-time high, but it's after that it's been middling and struggling a bit. Probably it's moving up in a struggled fashion. But if you see the banking index drop below 43,300, that will be the sign of trouble. But until that is not broken, you can assume that trend is still up. But the critical level for me is 43,300 on the banking index. The frontline names like SBI is struggling under 590. So that's the important stock for me. But if SBI were to crack below 570, 565, then that will be the cause for banking index going below 43,300.
Right, so that's with regards to where Bank Nifty is concerned as well. Now, let's look at a couple of the parameters so far. You have the VIX, which has moved lower. Apart from that, if you see in terms of the PCR OI, that has remained in the comfortable zone as well for the bulls. If you have to take both these parameters into consideration, as well as if you talk about the FII long short ratio, last 3 to 4 sessions, the FIs have turned sellers as well. Uh, what is that overall underlying tone that you're picking up?
Yeah, with the recent invention of weekly options, the VIX is a little bit needs a little bit of tweaking. So the fact that the Nifty VIX hit a low of 8.15, and since the records have been kept for the VIX. Now that's still not at a cause of concern for me. But if the Nifty VIX were to spike about 13.5, then that will be having much more significant meaning. The fact that Nifty VIX went to a record low, and then it's spiking up. That's a sign that complacency had set in, and the markets are trying to reverse that, and some level of profit taking is coming in. So that's the key level for me.
Right. So that's with regards to the overall setup as we speak. Moving from there on, let's move to individual stocks and sectors as well. Two sectors I want to discuss with you is with regards to the Nifty Auto Index as well as the Nifty FMCG Index. Jay, both of these have actually hit record high levels in today's session. Where is the contribution, according to you, coming from in terms of stocks that one can bet on?
Yeah, M&M obviously has been the leader since March of last year, and that still continues to be the leader. And the contribution for the auto index is coming from both M&M and Tata Motors. Tata Motors may still have little more upsides left, probably about 570 to 590. But as an overall index at the index level, the auto index shouldn't drop below 14,100. If 14,100 were to break, that's a little bit of distance from here. But if 14,100 were to break, that will be a huge concern for the overall market, because that will be pointing to a long-term trend reversal. So we don't want to see the auto index drop below 14,100. When it comes to the FMCG index, I've been bullish on it, but what's happening now is the leadership baton is probably getting passed from ITC to other names like Britannia, HLL, and Dabur has been a bit of laggard. So the laggard could contribute a bit when ITC takes a backseat. Even with ITC, as long as it stays above 411 and 412, the trend might still be up. But if 411 were to make a break, that might be a medium-term trend shift.
Okay. Moving on, if you see in terms of Infosys, specifically from an IT perspective, from the kind of April lows that we hit, the IT index itself has seen a recovery of almost 10% that has come in there, and a huge amount of growth coming in specifically in the mid cap and small cap IT names. They've grown much faster vis-a-vis the large cap IT names. How are you looking at the IT pack?
Yeah, see, the IT index post the Infosys results were a trading buy, and they have done reasonably well from that point. And we've seen the IT index come up somewhere close to 29,600. There are multiple resistance for the sector between 29,600 and 30,300. So it's seeing some kind of pressure. We'll see in the next couple of days whether this is turning out to be a continuation of the downtrend that started from January 2022, or if it's just a short-term pullback. That we'll get to know in the next few sessions. But Infosys and TCS, the frontline names, are relatively weak compared to the mid-cap names. When it comes to Persistent, Coforge, or KPIT, they still have a little bit of residual momentum. KPIT in particular has a little more stronger momentum compared to the other two mid-cap names. But the frontline IT, like Wipro, Infosys, and TCS, they're all laggards and are exhibiting further weakness here. So they might be cause for a little bit of setback in the IT sector.
Okay, so that's with regards to where IT as a space goes. Let's pull up a few of the other names which are seeing traction in today's session. M&M is up around a little over 4% in trade. Jay, what's your view?
Yeah, the momentum is still strong there, and it's trying to push further to fresh record highs. I think the objective here is somewhere close to 1450. I think it's got at least one pullback and then further fresh 52-week highs pending. Let's see how far the momentum takes. Right now, assume the stock is pushing towards resistance of 1450.
Right, so that's with regards to where M&M is concerned. Interestingly, Axis Bank and ICICI Bank, both these counters seem pretty interesting in today's session. I think one of the things that I was noticing is both the stocks are trading at levels of 949 and 950. Obviously, in terms of market cap and size, you have Axis, which is much larger. What are charts indicating, and what is the derivative data indicating for both these banking names?
Yeah, Axis is relatively stronger in terms of momentum compared to ICICI. ICICI is seeing a little bit of exhaustion here. If 920 were to break for ICICI, that will cause a trend reversal for ICICI. But Axis, it's probably pushing towards its all-time high, closer to 980. As long as the stock stays, above 912. I think the short-term trend is still up, but if 912 were to break, I think Axis will also join ICICI. The signal will be the same as ICICI breaking 920 and Axis breaking 912.
Right. Jay, defense names, Hindustan Aeronautics, Bharat Electronics, both these counters are seeing long addition in today's session. What should the strategy be with both these counters?
Yeah, Bharat Electronics, it's still got a little bit of momentum left. I would assume the stock is still trending towards 125. But it's just coming to a medium-term resistance point. But when it comes to Hindustan Aeronautics, it's part of the consumer good BSE capital goods index. So it's a bit of a laggard there. It's starting to catch up only in the last few sessions. But as long as the stock stays above 2980, I would consider the trend up. If it were to turn below 29, there'll be a medium-term trend reversal for Hindustan Aeronautics.
Okay. And in terms of other names, like let's look at a Tata Chemicals as well as India Cement. Both these counters also, it seems, traders are taking bullish bets. What should the strategy be?
Tata Chemicals isn't that attractive when it comes to the chemicals name. There are better names out there. This is just chopping around between 1055 and 945. So I wouldn't give too much importance to Tata Chemicals move. Only if it were to take out 1028, I would consider that as a promising move. Now you can look at alternate names like Rosary Biotech's Hikal. They are doing far better than Tata Chemicals. So when it comes to India Cements, I think once again Grasim might be a better name over there rather than India Cements. But it's seeing a short-term breakout, not to deny that. But as long as the stock stays above 202, I think the short-term momentum can propel the stock somewhere close to 240.
Right. From the financial names as well, a couple of other names that come to my radar is a AB Capital, AU Small Finance Bank, as well as a Canfin Homes. These three counters are seeing a short build up in today's session. What should the strategy be?
See, AU Small Finance has been the leader within the banking space, but I don't think it's exhausted its move. It might still drop sharply somewhere close to 730, 720, and then try to push back towards its 52-week high. So if you want to be taking a short bet here, you might want to be quick over here. So when I haven't looked at Canfin Bank. Did you see Canfin Finance? Canfin Homes, yeah. So yeah. Even there, it's a similar picture there, but there might be a pullback closer to 660 before the stock attempts to a last high towards 740.
Okay. Jay, apart from the names that we've discussed, anything that comes to your radar which you think should be good investment opportunities or trading bets from tomorrow's trade perspective?
Yeah, definitely. It can, the defense space is doing pretty well, and you might want to, look at Mishra Dhatu. As long as the stock stays about 210, it might be taking a push towards all-time high. So that's a very interesting stock over there. The all-time high is about 275, 280. Another one is IndoCount. IndoCount has got a long-term breakout, but you don't want to attempt investing right at these moments. You might want to be patient over there and wait for a pullback. As long as the stock stays above 460, I think it might be an interesting bet IndoCount over there.
Okay. Very lastly, let's just quickly look at PFC, REC. Both these stocks did see some bit of momentum in the last couple of trading sessions. What are the bets looking like today?
Yeah, the power stocks, as we had discussed the previous times, they've been doing pretty well. So the REC is slightly better than PFC. So you may want to go for REC rather than PFC.
Okay. And overall, even if you look at the, like an HPCL, that stock, the stock is down. There is some bit of longs that are being unwound on this counter. What's your view?
Yeah, the short term, I'm expecting Brent to bump up somewhere close to 82, 83, and then go down. But the HPCL charts are not as good as BPCL charts. So I would say if you have been long here, you might want to book profits and probably consider shorts if the stock were to close below 252.
Right. So these are a few names that we should be watching out for as well. Thank you, Jay, so much for joining us on the show. Jay, my last question actually coming to you is from this month's expiry perspective, what are the levels that are we tracking closely? Because clearly the bottom trend, at least what you're picking up, is that there is positivity in the markets. There could be bouts of corrections that could come in. And buy on dips is the strategy that everyone is talking about. But from an expiry perspective, what levels are you tracking specifically on Nifty and Bank Nifty?
You mean the monthly expiry? Yeah. So
The monthly expiry, yes.
Yeah, 18202 is absolutely critical. So that's as long as that's holding up, we can maintain the buy the strategy. But if the stock, if the index were to crack below 18202, I think it will be a medium to long term trend change. So be very cautious. And also pay attention to Reliance. As long as Reliance stays about 2410, it's okay. But it's below 2410, the stock gets into trouble, and that can add to the overall pressure in the market.
Right. So that's with regards to where, what expiry could be looking at. And as you mentioned, Reliance as well. Jay, one interesting move that I was just checking out was that in the last 1 year, you have the Sensex, which has seen gains of almost around 12 to 13%, whereas heavyweights like an Infosys and Reliance Industries both have underperformed, right? And without their participation, we've seen the Sensex, actually see gains of 12 to 13%. So probably the fact that all of us are glued to that absolute, contribution from the heavyweights is crucial. Probably, is a hypothesis that we need to test as well going ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Even if you look at the mid cap index, that's actually clocked fresh record highs. But the contribution actually is coming from the top, top decile rather than a broad contribution. So, so we need much broader participation from the markets for it to go to fresh record highs and sustain over there. So this is a problem we have in the market, but we take whatever the market gives.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Always a pleasure to speak to you. But clearly, if you see in terms of Nifty 50 as well, in terms of close, below the 18,600 mark is where we've ended. But a good day of trade overall. The advanced decline ratio on the Nifty 50 has been absolutely 50-50. Support did come in from Bank Nifty as well, but there was some bit of selling pressure that did come in the last half an hour of trade, and we've ended close to the 44,100 mark on that front. In terms of stock-specific action, M&M, strong moves there, 4% gains. Tata Motors, another one that will continue to remain in focus this week as well. Axis Bank, L&T, Grasim were the other few gainers. Whereas on the losing end, you had Divis Laboratories, Asian Paints, again reacting with regards to where the crude prices go. Tech Mahindra, Hero Moto, as well as Nestle were a few of the other names as well that were trading under pressure. If you see in terms of the Sensex as well in today's session, we've seen gains of nearly 240 points come in there. We've ended close to the 72,800 mark. We just missed it by a couple of points there. But in terms of stock-specific action, it was an interesting day of trade. Markson saw gains of around 7.5%. Philatex was another one. Gains of around 8% coming in there. Aegis was trading under pressure. Cyient was under pressure as well. So a lot of stock-specific action is what we've continued to see. And clearly, the markets did hold on to gains as contribution from Axis Bank, Reliance Industries, as well as M&M. That is what participated. Media as well as the auto stocks advanced. So FMCG and the media index, both of these actually hit a record high level in today's session. Some distilleries and breweries scaled up as well. The beer market share in Madhya Pradesh. So that was another stock to focus on. PVR Inox gained the most also in a week after opening 7 multiplex screens in Bangalore. And there were stocks like Apollo Hospitals, Apollo Tires, Aurobindo, Bajaj Auto, DLF, HAL, Interglobe Aviation, Lupin that hit a 52-week high as well in today's session. So lots of action that is going on in the markets, and that is expected to continue. And clearly, there is that underlying momentum that has continued to remain strong. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching. Lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to BQ Prime.